that fundamental assumption that we want to preserve this as an industrial harbor, what can we do to make it more financially attractive to a developer to come in? What can we do within the construct, within the core assumption that we want to preserve this as an industrial harbor? And that's what that's why it's incremental. Let's open it up a little bit. Let's not throw open the doors wide, because the law of unintended consequences kicks in big time at that point.
Can I just amplify that word? So, you know, the first time I ever was involved with Gloucester was, I don't know, 4 years ago, Sarah, maybe?
That's right, the Maritime Summit.
The first Maritime Summer, where I gave a presentation on marine biopharmaceuticals. And what was really interesting about coming from that end of the universe, the business side of the universe, and then trying to create the regulatory structure that would allow that to happen, you know, until CZM approves the other amplification that we're asking for around the marine technology and sciences and some of that other stuff, and within the conditions that we've set forth, it's not clear that you could even do that right now. And that's kind of the point, which is that some of the things that the community has talked about in its vision over the last probably decade, it's not even clear under the current rules that you have whether you could do it. Because at the end of the day, you do have to remember something, that whether it's I4C2 or RTD2 or whatever it is, they're going to have to go before the state to get licensed. And the state is going to look at what the rules are set forth in Gloucester, and that the state is approved and is comfortable with. And that's all we're trying to do. All we are literally doing is saying the field is going to be 100 yards by 55 yards, and we're going to put markers every 10 yards, and that's it. And then I will be the first one to tell you, and that will accomplish absolutely nothing, at least that we know how big the playing field is. And now it's a question of, as I said in one of the meetings, which is if the city of Gloucester does not put real resources behind economic development, nothing's going to happen. Because the private sector money, nobody is going to come in first from the private sector side. You're going to have to figure out a way to get public money in and mix and match to make some stuff happen. And at least now that people will say there's at least some possibility that I might be able to get licensed without going through a large, nasty permitting fight. That is literally all we've accomplished. But unless we accomplish that, we cannot do the other piece.
That's one question. In your professional opinion, if you handed either a corporation or a company that may want to come to Gloucester, whatever they want to do, whether they're biotechnology or, and I'm saying anything, for anything.
Yeah.
And any kind of, and you handed them this document, and you said, this is the document that we have to work with. How long do you think they'd stay talking to you?
Am I handing it to their lawyer, their real estate lawyer, or no, this is
You're handing it
really,
to the
really
real
important.
estate person.
Then the real estate person would say, at least I know what I might have a chance to do, and it's not going to cost me several $100,000 to get it permitted.
Right.
And do you think if they see that, they say, gee, this is a great opportunity?
That's a second question. That's a second problem. Then the second problem becomes, it's all the things that we talked about. And it's the little exercise that we went through with the blocks. Wow, I need 50,000 square feet footprint. I don't have a 50,000 square feet footprint, so I got to put your piece together and your piece together and your piece together. Is there any way I can do that? I can only get one story. I can right now only build I can only build 40 feet. I got to put up 14 feet in the height. You know, it's a whole.
So maybe I should
different
look at collision.
Can I add one?
Maybe they should, but my point is that right now the way this always works is the real estate lawyer, and that's what these guys do. The real estate lawyers will go, can I get it permitted?
So,
And if I can't get it permitted, it's still, all the rest of it doesn't matter.
So two things I wanted to mention, because there are some concrete results coming out of this. We have a Gloucester Marine Genomics Institute now having an office down at Cruiseport with one person, and they would like to develop the old New England Marine Resources building into some kind of maritime trade training, and some type of testing for they want to do they're already starting on the sequencing of different species of cod, the Gulf of Maine cod versus Georges Bank cod. So, I'll say a year ago, we did not know if they could legally go down into the New England Marine Resources and set up what they want to do. And this plan provides a way to look at it and talk about how do they relate to the ocean, how do we make sure they're just not a research organization that has just wants to look at the water. We want people who actually use the water. And so that lets this move forward. That is one very concrete development for Gloucester that 5 years ago, many people in this room would have died to hear that we were going to get that. The second thing, second thing I forgot, I was so excited about the first thing. That's all you get, one.
Well, we've heard from the table, and I appreciate Kevin's amplifications, seems to be the word of the plan.
I didn't use Nexus at least.
Well, thank you. He's not here anyways to argue, so. But unless there's other input from the board, I think we're at a point of consideration to vote to endorse the plan or not. I mean, I think there's, just hearing from comments, I think there's a general consensus, but I'd like to have a discussion around that, and if somebody'd like to move the question, we can have a discussion on that.
So, second.
Thank you. So we have
Yeah, I put somebody else from the, not on the city council second. How's that sound?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Marcy gets the second. So we have a motion made by Paul McGarry and seconded by Marcy Region for a vote to endorse the submittal of a master harbor plan and the DPA master plan to the state. Any discussion in addition to what we've already had?
Only that, well, I have a question actually. I should know this, but I can't remember. From the moment of submittal, how long till the state says yea or nay?
Last time we submitted, it was near the end of June, and we got a decision December 9th. So it can take about 4 months is about right. Our indications from the state is they thought they could consider it and have it approved or modified and approved by the end of the year. We were hoping for that because there's going to be an administration change, so we know if the governor is moving on. So we know a lot of, last time when we have an administration change like that, it can end up having a lot of new people in positions and it's hard to get things done.
So to Greg's point then about trying to put some, grease the skids on I-4C2, I mean, can we start an economic development plan on the assumption, or do we have to wait until? What risk do we run by starting the economic development plan without the harbor plan being official, getting the official city approval?
Well, my understanding from Tom Skinner, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Randon and Astis, is that in having consultations with coastal zone management all along. Would you like to?
Or I could just.
Or you could just talk about it.
I see my role as
So-
voting here.
So well, I'll be really quick. The bottom line is once it's submitted and accepted by the state, there's a 30-day comment period. It goes into the monitor 30-day comment period, during which time we'll have a public hearing. There is an up to 6 months consultation period where we would work out any major differences between what the city has submitted and what's required to be submitted, what we need. And then there's a 21-day period once the consultation period closes, after which we would issue the decision.
Kevin, can I just ask a clarifying thing, just in anticipation of emails? Is it 30 business days or 30 calendar days?
30 calendar days.
Okay. And it's 21, so everything's calendar days?
Everything's calendar if it's over
Okay.
7 days out.
So we submit it to you and then you immediately publish it for,
Assuming that
yeah.
we've already talked about get into it before
Right.
it's submitted, then we would, so it's ready to go, then we would publish it in the Environmental Monitor, the next available Environmental Monitor, and the local newspaper in the, and then we would, before we do that, we'll set up the date and time for the hearing so that can be in the publication. And then that date of the monitor starts the 30 days.
The date posted in the
Of
monitor?
the monitor, right.
I know that being respectful of people's time, so we do have a motion and a second. I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Sorry, if we put a preamble in this thing, explaining exactly what it is.
Okay.
But I'm totally against having something that presents itself to be something, for whatever reason, other than what it really is.
Understood. Appreciate that. Thank you.
For the record, you want to have the two who seconded else have done this? To record their, just to, yeah.
And for the record, to record that Ann Malloy sent an email saying she would just hold off for a month before the vote, that go a little bit longer before the vote. So she wouldn't vote, just endorse it tonight. And Steve Cefalo emailed and said he was very sorry he couldn't make it the last minute, but he wanted us to know that he was in favor of the plan and endorses it.
thought Ann's email said that she voted no because of,
Not waiting a month.
right.
That's right, that is
If she was
exactly
here, she
right.
would have voted
Yeah.
no tonight.
But just to clarify, those are not cast votes, they're simply for the record expressions of sentiment.
That's right, you can't vote unless you're out. Thank you.
So the official tally was?
7-1 in favor, and the motion passes.
Any other business that we want to talk about before an adjournment?
Well, we through now as a committee? How do we end up?
Why don't you let me wait, because we might want to reconvene one more time just to hear about how it's moving forward, or,
Sort
you
of
know,
an update
let's
of the
talk about
process
that.
type of
Right,
thing.
you know, the committee might like that. I mean,
You can't
what's the
come
will
home
of the
just
committee? I mean, you're almost there.
Is this when we get dinner?
No.
This is actually the final, this is the final, so, let's let it go. This is the final.